How does a good ISP protect their values while they're growing? You wake up one day, you're like, uh-oh, what was once this defining value is now a punchline.
My paddle.
Wallpaper? Or
My vote.
You get a vote, it's just wrong.
This is going to be a fun one. It is not technical, but it is very much a part of starting an ISP, running an ISP.
Intrinsic.
Absolutely.
Ooh, look at pedantic in the last episode,
That's
intrinsic
another
in this
good,
one.
There you go.
Scrabble word.
Quapaha.
And I think there's a kind of a handful of things that come to mind for me where, like, if you're generally speaking, if you're starting an ISP, you have found a gap, you are filling a void, you're bringing connectivity to the community, and that's your North Star. And you wake up one day and you're a business owner and you've got staff and you're trying to retain them and recruit new talent. And that's not why you started the business, but those things become the most important thing, arguably, in terms of longevity and keeping the flame lit, right? So this is going to be a good one to go into. It'll be interesting to see if we do end up talking about, things that get into some technical corners, but at the end of the day, I'd love to just talk a little bit about our experiences with, culture, good, bad, and ugly.
Deal. I'm down.
Awesome. So let's start with how does a good ISP protect their values while they're growing?
You got to define them first. You actually have to go through the exercise of identifying what your mission, vision, value propositions are. And I don't care if you have 10 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers. You've got to have a North Star that everybody's rowing towards. And I really, when I go do site visits with customers, I always look to see who has those up on the wall in the break room, the entrance to their building. One of my customers has all of their value statements in the bathrooms. So, because they're like, we know everybody's going to the bathroom every day. They're going to see the value statements. Like, oh, I like it. Placement is everything. It's not that the values are in the toilet. It's that they want people to see them regularly. So defining them, I think, is the very first step for a company while they're growing.
I love that. But what I will caution is if you are making these things and making a list and it all sounds good and you pin it up, and you're not living these things and you're not leading by example, they will immediately become break room punchlines. They will be the biggest culture killer. They will be that's, I think, the main thing. You really have to spend the time, and it's not like what sounds good.
Can't be a soundbite.
What words look good together? What makes a nice, tasty acronym, right?
It doesn't matter
can't be the
where
pretty
you are.
poster in the bathroom. While it sounds cool and everything, nobody's looking at that poster anymore. I mean,
Once you see
if you've got the same poster in the bathroom, you're not looking at it. But the values are, from day one, you need to be defining those, like you said. They have to be defined, and then you have to live them, and they should, as the owner, they should reflect your values as well. And values to me are things you just don't compromise. They have to
see,
be.
that to me is where it becomes a punchline, is when the owner is saying these are our values, and then they don't see them living those values.
Well, right, they have to be lived. Otherwise, they're not values. They're just.
But how often
things
does it
hanging
happen
in a bathroom, and right? So I think or a poster, the integrity
not at a
poster
Coldplay
as you
concert.
walk down the. Somebody what?
Sometimes not at a Coldplay concert.
Right. So, they can't be things just hanging on the wall. They have to be really lived and
So define
brought
them,
into the culture.
live them, and revisit them, because sometimes your values need to be tweaked too.
Sure. You're not the business you were yesterday.
That's right.
And you're not going to be the same business.
And you haven't
were.
hired the same people. Your culture changes as you bring in different talent, as you mature as an organization as well.
Sure. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's dive in. What role does leadership play versus frontline behavior in shaping culture within an organization?
Oh, so it's my turn to use the big word. So I think versus is a false dichotomy. How about that, huh?
I like it.
Tell me more.
Because these are interconnected systems. Leadership and frontline behavior there's no versus here. they're integrated. They're
Sure.
one and the same. So, and they need to be working together. So yes, obviously, I think in the end, the leader has a bigger role in shaping them. But I don't think it's a versus, because your frontline is going to shape them as well with you.
We use The Boys in the Boat as a leadership book in at Sonar, and I think that it's applicable across so many different industries. You all have to be in the boat, rowing at the same speed, in the same direction. You can't have one person on the right-hand side of the boat rowing for all it's worth while somebody else has got their oar sitting across their lap and somebody's taking a nap in the back. Everybody has to work together. You just spin in circles and nobody's getting anywhere. And you're certainly not satisfying your customers. But if everybody, even if you're slow rowing together, as long as you're doing it together and you're getting better and stronger and more repetitions, and you're better and stronger and more repetitions, then your organization grows better and stronger through those repetitions. It's lots of opportunity there.
I agree. That book is not just applied to, it has nothing to do with software. It has nothing to do with ISPs, but it has to do with team building, and you're absolutely right. So yes, it isn't this versus that. They're a system that works together. But I do think that culture, it might be set from the top down, but I think it's fed from the bottom up. So to me, that's where the teams, like you can define these things and you can set it out and you can live it. If people aren't buying into it and they're not feeding into it, you can't just make that happen from the top down. So that's kind of a, Jesus take the wheel moment. You do everything right and you kind of push it off from shore, to continue the analogy, and either everyone's gonna be rowing in the same direction or they're not. Either the team is going to be bought into the culture and the values and taking the foundation that you built and building upon it. I think the best companies I've worked for from a culture standpoint, the culture, the employee base had a tremendous contribution to the culture.
Because you can't operate in this vacuum of, this is how we think you want to be recognized. You have to include the employees saying, these are the ways that we want to be recognized. This is meaningful to us. Let's work together on rolling that out.
So if it's got to be fed from the bottom up, how do you do that? How do you live that? What should you be doing to make sure that happens?
It depends on where you are in your life cycle. It could be as simple as regular surveys. Some people don't want public accolades. They would rather be attaboyed in private. Acknowledge that. Some people really want, a monetary reward. So maybe a gift card or something along those lines is what's going to work. You can't have 17 different systems, but come to a collective for this year and then revisit it next year. So maybe this year it's a survey. Maybe next year you've got a small council, depending on the size of your organization, that helps decide and drive that information funnel for your executive team to action.
I agree. You have to tend your garden. Speaking from experience, I think it was probably right about the midway point of our 13-ish years that we were running the ISP, and we had a culture crisis. It kind of just one of these things, you wake up one day and you're like, uh-oh. And it's what was once this defining value is now a punchline. And you see it in the hard numbers that we had turnover numbers that we never had before. We had, engaged employees that were disengaging, and it was a crisis. And kind of in the postmortem that I did or we did or whatever, to me, the big takeaway was we just had everything on autopilot. Everything was good. You assume it's going to remain good, and you don't worry about tending the garden. You're worrying about popping up the next tower and keeping your customers happy and, hitting your SLAs and all that good stuff. And meanwhile, the weeds grew out of control, and we never let it happen again. We were able to kind of get it back to where it was, I do believe, by the end, but it was a tremendous amount of work, and it took, it was fueled by humility. You have to acknowledge that you've gone wrong. You have to say, what you're going to do, and then you have to live it all over again. So it's this rebuilding process, and it's not fun.
Well, and I think there's many different ears that need to hear. It's not your executive leadership. It's sometimes your mid-tier managers that are listening and providing feedback too. Or maybe you've had a casual conversation with someone and your ears perk up because you can tell that there's a discontent there that might not have been there 6 months ago. And it may be presenting itself in not wanting to be involved in a certain initiative, but really it runs back to, oh, you know what, we went from 10 paid vacation days a year to 8 paid holiday vacation days a year, whatever the nuance was. But now that little seed has festered, and it's causing a much bigger problem, and that it can infect others in the organization as well.
That little pea under the mattress.
That little pea under the mattress. And sometimes it's more than a pea. Sometimes you've got an organizational cancer that, you know, you thought it was just a little ailment or a pulled muscle, and it turned out to be a much bigger issue.
Sometimes you put an access point antenna under the mattress.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think back to that chapter that I was talking about, and I still think that it's what I described is kind of the root of it, but we also had some things that we were able to address right away. There were some kind of middle management positions that we did not fill well. One of them was, putting some, like a star employee that maybe isn't a star manager, and you have to navigate that. That happens, right? I think the more acute problem was an outside hire that was just the wrong fit, and we let them stay way too long. And I mean, that is just a speed run to running your culture into the ground.
And I think promoting people into management positions who really don't want to be managers is way more pervasive in the industry than people would think. They're really good at their jobs. They like their jobs. They don't want to manage people. And no amount of training can change their mind about having to be a manager.
And they may not have known that. Sometimes you have to let someone try something, and it is hard to navigate, but you have to give them a chance to kind of go back.
So then the question is, do they exit the company, or do you take them back to the original position? What's the plan?
Those are
tough.
Both tough.
It's a huge
paths.
challenge.
Either way is a hard path when you do
which
that.
is why it gets so messy.
But you have to let people try. I mean, you that's part of your culture is being able to grow those employees to more meaningful. You know, we never had a big. We didn't have 7 tiers. There was no. You weren't going to grow to be the president.
How many employees did you have at your biggest?
Under 20.
Okay.
So I mean, we never had large scale, but we let people try different roles, and someone would be willing to go back, but typically that felt negative. That it's
the perception.
The perception of it is
so hard.
I can't go back to this, even though this is what I loved. I didn't really want this. I thought I wanted
because
this.
You failed, right?
Because
that is the appearance, and
right.
Navigating that is really hard. But you're right. I think if you go into it and say we're gonna try something and see if it's a good fit.
But there's also an opportunity for cross training, which I've seen a couple different companies do, where a field tech goes and has to answer the phones as a CSR for half a day or a day. Have a CSR go out with the field technicians and go up into an attic and see what it's like to do an installation when it's 100 degrees outside.
Gotta do it.
Absolutely. We did that. I mean,
because you can talk about it all day long, but until you experience it.
Right. And that's valuable for both of them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the support guy now knows, what is really happening out there, not just what do I see at the end. And the guy out there is like, wow, I really botched this up, and look what this is causing for problems for the people inside. I need to be much more careful when I'm so making each other see that is super important. I think cross training's kind of neat. I mean, again, we weren't big, so you can't do you're not gonna do it for months. But sometime out for both, I think is there's value in that.
So in terms of being a brand new ISP, and like I said, I think it's common that this is the last thing you're thinking about, but maybe someone's listening to this right now and saying, okay, I hear you. I'm going to think about this. How can we help nudge them in the right direction? How should they start thinking about this? How do you action this in practice in terms of trying to, take the bull by the horns and control your outcomes?
Such a great question, Rick. It really is a great question. And, I think to start out, are you building a company where you want to go to work every day?
Love that.
I mean, you have to think about it. Are you building a culture that people are excited about going to work or enthused about going to work or energetic about going to work, because that is going to weigh into how fast your ISP grows, how much your customers want to refer new business to you. If you're the person that is walking in the door and the entire air gets sucked out of the room, maybe we're starting at the top. We need to reevaluate what's going on. And that ties back to what you were talking about, Larry, with living those vision propositions,
right?
those value
and do
propositions.
that from day one.
Mhm.
You know, so don't let this be something that you try to build on afterwards. I mean,
Or backfill.
right? No,
Yeah.
no backfilling. We know that it's got the potential to change over time. We've all kind of agreed to that, but it should be something, you know, that, and then you need to revisit it. Like you said, don't just let it, it's almost nothing that we do in the ISP business is just set it and forget it.
Check.
Right. Done.
Move on. Next
I've
thing.
got values. You
Yeah.
know, we're good.
But you said something earlier that really stuck with me, and that was that it shouldn't be hard, especially when you're small. You kind of are the business. Well, what are your personal values? Like, as a person, as a human being, you should be able to answer that question. And fundamentally, that's what should funnel into the type of business that you want to run. And you should be proud to share those things. And they should be easy for you to follow and model and acknowledge when you flub one up. And I think that's also part of culture is when you're a leader, you have to proactively take ownership of those things. You have to communicate. And you say, my bad. Hey, this is an example of when this value was not prioritized, and this is how I screwed it up, and this is how, we can think about this moving forward.
Or this is an initiative that we launched, and frankly, it didn't live up to what our master plan was.
Sure. Yep.
And transparency and ownership, when something goes sideways, goes a long way on rebuilding trust.
Massive. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, everywhere. It does
Yep,
that
for
to
any-
the customers. Transparency and ownership we've talked about. You got to do it with the customers as well. So, take something like integrity. What do you do? Are you transparent in your billing, or is your billing this?
Obfuscated
Right
behind the green curtain. Who can
wait till you sign up?
decipher
Right,
it?
Introductory
wait till you sign up and
offers.
see what it really is when you get your first invoice. It's not going to match. We never did. We told customers exactly what their first bill was going to be.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Sonar brings clarity and structure to your operations so your team can stay aligned, focused, and motivated. See how we support better cultures at sonar.software.
Those of you watching on video may notice we have some things in our hands, so it is time for love it or hate it. Got some good ones about culture here today. We'll start with this one. Happy teams always deliver better NPS scores. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Love it.
Hate it.
Hate it.
Hate it.
Tell me more.
Okay. Your team can be happy. Your team can love their job. Your team can really rock it out. But if the product that you're delivering, if your internet is going down, if something is going on in your network consistently, your NPS scores are not going to be high.
Sure.
So the way this is written, happy teams always deliver better NPS. I don't buy it. I hate it.
The way that I interpret that, and again, these aren't the words that are written, but this is all about interpretation, is happy teams always deliver better NPS than if they were unhappy teams. It's not that they're going to deliver.
Oh,
the
you're
world.
adding words.
But that's the implication to me, is like, if everything else was equal, but they're happy versus unhappy, I think that's going to be reflected in your scores. Like, at the end of the day, that experience that the customer has is holistic. So for example, let's say you get a technical support call and it is determined that it's something to do with a router that the customer owns. So once you come to that point of diagnostics in the call, that's no longer the company's responsibility. And if you're the support agent, guess what? It's no longer your responsibility. If you're not a happy employee and you're just trying to get through your day and you're trying to make sure your numbers are good and you don't really give a crap, you're immediately, once you come to that determination, you're going to drop that call like a hot potato, and the customer is not going to be feeling the love. If you're a happy employee, I think you're probably going to take the extra minute to make that customer feel heard, give them a little bit of advice as to where they can go next. When that NPS survey hits their inbox, that's not going to deliver a higher score.
I'm going to tell you, I think there is a nuance between customer satisfaction from an interaction in that and net promoter score. I'm thinking about it about if at the end of that interaction, will that customer go out and bring a new customer to my business? A happy team member is probably going to be a better experience, yes, but I think the service is still more important. If they're calling in because it's been an outage, because they've had extended problems with their equipment, I don't think the net promoter score has anything to do with their with the happiness of your team.
I agree. But if they were unhappy, it's probably going to be a worse experience. That's my take.
Okay.
My take.
Yeah, so it is going to yield a better number. I mean, obviously the service, you need to provide quality service, but the happy customer means, or the happy staff really is about their level, their frustration level. If they're happier, that is going to almost automatically reflect out to the customer. And customers know that. It's so easy, even on phone calls, if you've gotten a customer service person who cares almost immediately.
Yep.
And that changes your view, and therefore I believe changes your NPS score.
Okay. Y'all can love. I'm going to hate.
We didn't get you to flip this
No,
time?
you didn't get me to flip this time.
We have to try harder. We're not done with this category yet.
Get away from my paddle. Next question, sir.
Next question. Unlimited PTO is a loyalty test, not a benefit. Love it or hate it.
I think I hate it. It is a benefit. Unlimited PTO should be a benefit. It is a benefit.
I agree. Larry.
Love it. Sorry.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Tell me more.
Unlimited PTO is the loyalty test. I mean, there's been studies. So, I mean, I have some of them. An HR company called Namely, and that is really the name of the HR company, Namely. I'm like, this doesn't make sense why I'm reading it. And I'm like, Namely did a study. Namely who? But it's Namely. 125,000 employees. Unlimited PTO, they took 13 days off. Limited PTO, they averaged 15 days off.
Because it was a use it or lose it scenario?
With unlimited PTO, there's no use it or lose it.
No, I'm saying
with the limited, yeah. I mean, typically it's a use it or lose it. I mean, some will let you roll it over to a certain extent. Some will pay you out at the end of the year. So there was another Harvard business study that said that unlimited PTO is a stigma. People are afraid to use it because they'll be seen as less than their other employees, so that they are afraid to use unlimited PTO. I'm not as good as, Georgette, who takes no PTO, and I take 3 weeks because she's
But this whole
better.
episode is about culture, and I think that if your culture is a good and positive culture, you can encourage your staff to recharge. And I know that I'm the worst about this. I don't like taking time off.
Right.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Do as I say, not as I do. Because I work really hard to take the time off. I take the time off, and then I catch up for all the time that I took to take the time off, and it's less convenient for me to take the time off. Right? It's this.
Oh, I get it. I owned a business.
It's this circular logic.
We had way less vacations in 25 years than we had in the last 4.
But me knowing that I have unlimited PTO does make my desire to stay where I am stronger. It's like a golden handcuff.
I got to be honest. I really surprised myself with this answer. I am such a hardwired cynic, and I've read these same studies, and I've also just heard people's opinions and experiences. And I think that you articulated my point well, where I landed on this. If I didn't have the experience that I have working where I work right now, my answer would have been love it, because it's so easy to get this wrong, but it isn't impossible. And I don't think that it is necessarily always a loyalty test, but you have to have a very specific culture to have the comfort to allow people to truly embrace such a benefit.
The last part that takes away from the benefit is, of course, with the unlimited PTO, if you decide to leave for whatever
there's no
reason,
pool.
You don't have anything banked up. If I've earned, 3 weeks, I don't have 3 weeks with unlimited PTO.
They do in Canada. It's the U.S. problem.
Okay. Well, then I just need to move a couple hours north, and then I will be
These
able
are
to
solvable
take it.
problems.
It's
Yeah.
a solvable problem. Okay, sorry about that. In the U.S., but like California law is, you have to pay out those wages.
No, I agree. And these are all things to be considered. I think that was chosen because it was going to be inflammatory.
And you chose it.
That's right. I think because I know. So we got one more.
Okay.
Get ready. Lock in. Mission and value statements, which was a huge part of what we talked about in terms of North Stars and all that. Mission and value statements are mostly wallpaper. Love it or hate it.
I hate it.
I love it.
Love it.
Okay, y'all defend first.
Mostly
wallpaper.
Well, okay, so I mean, when I thought about this, I thought about saying this quietly because obviously where we work, we're
embracing.
our mission. We do
Yes.
embrace it, and so I said it as love it as mostly wallpaper because I think there are far too many companies. It is wallpaper, that they're not truly reflecting it. So I think the statement is correct. They're mostly wallpaper. There are so many companies that create these statements that I
Bury
bet
them on their website.
a single employee couldn't recite, maybe even the owner, who wrote these at one point. So that's why I say that they're wallpaper. I don't say that that is the right answer, and I don't think, I certainly don't think we live that day. We try to really value these things, and they can be important in that aspect. But for most companies, it's wallpaper.
This is definitely the Pollyanna in me. I hate this statement that mission and value statements are mostly wallpaper because I think they shouldn't be wallpaper. I think they should be, there should be a spotlight on them.
Wallpaper?
Yeah, is this an aspirational thing?
Right.
Because I have to agree, it is in the wording for me as well. If this said that they are always wallpaper,
right,
I would not have answered in the same way.
No,
I think they are mostly wallpaper. Most organizations, I think it is something to throw on your website.
And I lost my train of thought to boot.
You were going to say I'm right.
Yeah, right. You were going to just come to our side.
Neither of you are right. I'm sticking to my hate it. I want businesses to build cultures that embrace vision and values and that builds great businesses, because I think the customers benefit from those organizations.
It doesn't say I want people to not have it be wallpaper. It says they are mostly wallpaper. So are they mostly wallpaper? Or
my vote.
You get a vote. It's just wrong.
Sorry. If this episode reminded you of a job you loved or one you couldn't wait to leave, drop us a rating on Spotify. It helps new listeners find the show and join these honest conversations. We appreciate the support. All right, we're going to bring this home in the traditional way with a what if. And I think this is a really good one. I think this is a very good example of the kind of thing that you're going to deal with eventually. And that is, what if your best tech turned out to be a morale problem? What do you do?
So first definition is what is best, because obviously if they're a morale problem, best is more encompassing.
Let's say most effective, most efficient.
So your top technical brilliance.
Yeah, let's sharpen our pencil.
All right,
yeah.
That is our new definition of best.
But I also think you can take tech out of it. I think it could be fill in the blank. Is it your CSR? Is it your most efficient?
No, it doesn't have
sales,
to be a tech role. It could be right. Your best performing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
that is
an X role.
The
best
right?
performing. Yeah.
So in that case, I mean, for me, there was always a pretty straight line, because this is going to happen to anybody, any business, any size. Once you get past one employee, you're likely going to run into this. I mean,
after your wife, right?
Oh no, my wife was never. That was no. Hey, no. Shelly, I love you. Don't let Georgette seed wrong thoughts into your mind.
You were never a morale.
It was never a morale problem. It was a we love each other problem. So now that we're done with that, and hopefully I'm still married and have a job when I get home. I mean, I'm really rocking the boat on this one. This has been a tough episode for Larry personally. Isolate the issue. Talk to that person, one-on-one. I never call people out. That is never the right way. So meet with them, set some firm guidelines on what you see with concrete examples. You can't, there can't be this fluffiness. There's nothing fluffy about a morale problem. It is a problem. Define, set expectations on what needs to change. And if it doesn't, let them go. I mean, firing people sucks, but it sometimes is what needs to be done.
Praise in public, coach in private. And one of the things that I've done for many years in my professional endeavors is hire slow, fire fast. It really, truly, if a person is not coachable, you have to take the bull by the horns, because that cancer will spread throughout your organization.
And when you forget to do that, or you don't do that, and you fail to do that.
And sometimes you feel like you can't do it because there's perceptions there that may not actually be reality.
Sure.
And light needs to be shown on it and figure it out, because it can really take you off plumb. And we've talked about rowing that boat. I'm telling you, people are jumping out of the boat because of that person.
Absolutely.
You lose your other talents.
Like, what are they doing in the boat? Why is this person in my boat? Yeah, that's the perception for sure. For me, and I agree with you, Larry, I think in my mind, when I read that, it's like, it's definitive. They are a morale problem. I've tried, I've quantified, I've qualified. I already know that that's the case. Goodbye. And it's like you said, that there's no way their technical prowess will offset the damage that they're doing. It is not easy to let people go, but you are going to do more damage by not.
So as you read it, you've already had that discussion with them one-on-one?
I know that they're a problem. It's an unsolvable problem. They are like this, and they're not willing to change or not capable to change. That was my...
But you gave them the opportunity to change, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I mean,
and I think that has to be a part of it.
Right.
There has to be a
process,
process,
but not that fast.
Right. People do change. I mean, I sat
some
some
people don't know
down
what they don't know,
and went over this, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I can see that, and they can make the correction. Not many though. I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
When you get those,
but you gotta
give the chance.
Well, and we talked a little bit about people being upgraded to manager or leadership roles. They don't know what they don't know, and they need to be coached in those positions as well. What are we doing to train them up into those positions and to upskill them? What are we doing to upskill our frontline staff in the age of AI? Are we replacing them with agents? Well, what are we doing to help them get to their next level as well? Are they cancerous because AI is coming in and they're afraid? It's not that they're not a good performer. It's that they don't know what their next play is. So let's, as a good culture, figure that out together.
I agree. I had dealt with kind of the bizarro world version of this problem, where it was a technician that was, I don't know how long tenured, but fairly long tenured, probably at the time the most long tenured position, if not the second, in the field team. And it had come to light that essentially he was cherry picking what he would or wouldn't do. So it was, I couldn't go on that roof because there was snow, and there wasn't any snow, and I couldn't do this because of that. And again, kind of like my interpretation, and maybe it was colored by this because it made me think of it. I had collected enough irrefutable proof that, this was a systemic issue, and this is someone who was taking these liberties and felt entitled to them. But what was difficult was when he was on. He was well liked, he was long tenured, and he was a team player, and I had to let him go. And what's challenging is, and I guess you can choose to be more transparent, but like legally, you really shouldn't be airing out dirty laundry on why someone was let go and the terms of it and whatnot. So navigating that was challenging because this person was so well liked. But once you come to that point of determination, it is only one right path forward.
So let's help our audience. How did you navigate that? Because the staff is going to be gone. What just happened?
They've been here forever.
We love this guy.
I shared as much detail as I could, kind of in an HR advisory
I
way,
get you need to be really careful with what you share.
But everything
you have to also
I could
address
share
their concerns.
And I really was just transparent. It's like either you trust me or you don't. Either you believe me or you don't, and I can't change that. But you got to understand that this is not a lever I would have pulled unless I absolutely had to. And I just hope that you can understand that those are the circumstances around it. And I've shared what I can share. And that was that. And it was a wound that took a while to heal, but it blew over.
introspection too. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm the cancer in the organization. I want to make sure that I'm where I want to be and need to be
That's a hard one. Yeah,
in that season of my life.
that's so true. Yeah, there's two sides to every coin.
Next week on Bandwidth, we're getting tactical, talking about hiring, outsourcing, and what actually works when you start growing your team. From local techs to call centers, we'll break down the trade-offs of different staffing models. If you're expanding, don't miss this one.
And remember, when you connect communities, you unlock what's possible. Until next time.